floor here is made of floor.
Yes. It's like, yes, the air here seems to be made of air. It's fairly obvious. And yes, you are reading that title correctly. There are Jeffrey Dahmer fangirls out there. Why? I have no idea.
Because they put out a documentary retelling, not really a documentary, but like a retelling series
Yeah, I know the one that was,
of him, and they cast fucking
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters to play him.
And I love Evan Peters.
And he did a good job from
He
what
did
I
a
saw
good
in
job.
the previews and stuff I saw.
Yes.
But he's still Evan Peters, so he's way more charismatic than
Jeffrey
you would
Dahmer.
expect a psychopath murderer to be, you know?
Well, but that's the thing. Like, these people have the image in their head of Jeffrey Dahmer being Evan Peters playing Jeffrey Dahmer instead of the actual monster that was Jeffrey Dahmer. And that's what blows me away is that these people can't separate reality from fantasy. Mm-hmm. It's like in their fantasy, they're just like, you know, if he would have met me and I would have I could have opened his heart up, he would have never become a psychopath, and we would have actually like had a good life together. It's like, no, you would have been another trophy in his fridge.
Yeah.
You would have.
I'm pretty sure. Am I incorrect in thinking that he mostly killed men?
He did.
Yeah, he was gay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So I mean, most of them are just already like living in a fantasy world, thinking he would have even went after them in the first place. You know?
Barking up the wrong tree, you would say.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, even like if they were involved with him in any way and got in too deep, they'd become a victim. He probably wouldn't have gone as depraved because of like where his mind was, but
he probably wouldn't give them the time of day because he wasn't. That's not what he went after. It was men. It was not women.
Yeah.
He never once went after a woman.
Dumb enough to start stalking him or something, then he'd probably just go ahead and fix that problem himself.
Yes. So
He'd be like, "Look, you annoy me. I'm pretty good at making people not able to annoy me anymore."
But Jeffrey Dahmer is not someone that you need to idolize.
No,
John
he's
Wayne,
a horrible person.
John Wayne Gacy is not someone you need to idolize.
No.
Freaking Ted Bundy is not someone that you need to idolize. What is wrong with people? These are evil people who did bad things, like some of the most awful, unspeakable things that you could do to other human beings. And you're obsessed with them because of some wannabe like fantasy that you had in your mind. That's
People are weird, man.
People are strange when you're a stranger.
And get some help.
They do. Like, get a hobby. Like go like quilting, like sewing, crochet, something. Oh, anyway, let's go ahead and check this out. This is a video by Maury called Jeffrey Dahmer Fangirls Are Mentally Ill. Yes, they are. Yeah, but most certainly.
So, let's talk about it. Now, as you can see, according to this New York Post headline, they say people are thirsting for Jeffrey Dahmer after Netflix's show turns killer into sex symbol. And at first, I really didn't care that much, as I didn't think it was that serious, as we all know that fangirls and fan clubs were made after serial killers in their honor after these serial killers have killed multiple people and ruined the lives of not only their victims, but of their friends and family members. I mean, it's not really anything new, or something that we haven't heard of before. But based on the online responses from people who have seen the fan edits and the collages made of Evan Peters, which is the actor who is playing Jeffrey Dahmer in this Jeffrey Dahmer documentary type Netflix show, you can tell that a lot of people are angry and are outraged, and rightfully so. And there was some other controversy surrounding this Netflix series being tagged as LGBTQ on Netflix, and some people from that community getting angry at the fact that that tag was attached to the series when most of the men that Jeffrey Dahmer, or if not all, that Jeffrey Dahmer killed were gay. So it's obviously LGBTQ, but obviously people only want representation when it's good.
Yeah.
That's true, and I'm not against like representation. There's nothing wrong with representing it as like, well, it was crimes that were perpetrated against people who are LGBTQ by someone who was himself LGBTQ.
If anything,
Go ahead.
what I took away from the show was like you need to be aware. Like it was during the time though that that was
It was taboo for a lot.
right, and also like what makes me sick is the fact that I'm pretty sure that his neighbor, like, there's a lot of stuff that it's not just about him, like,
it's about everyone else around him.
His neighbor tried to reach out and tried to save one of his victims, and he was a kid, and the cops didn't believe her because I'm guessing it was because of the color of her skin. I'm not really sure, but
there was multiple factors that were taken into it. You could look at,
she was trying to tell them, and they didn't listen.
Well, you could take it as that, they didn't believe her because of the color of her skin. But they also, here's the thing that you have to understand about police work is that with every interaction like that comes paperwork. And when it comes to paperwork and having to write out something that complicated, that complex, and also not only the fact that you're bringing someone in because of potential homosexual activities,
which was taboo at the time.
Exactly.
And all that stuff.
That could have a very bad effect on the overall community, and the cops. I'm not sure why. Like the only way we would find out is if we were to ask the cops ourselves. But from what I understand, like no one knows which cop it was.
Obviously,
Not
that
to
would
mention,
be
they don't even have to give you a straight answer.
No.
right.
Or I don't know.
Because that would be like a violation of their privacy in a way.
Yeah.
So it's just a terrible situation altogether. It's not just the fact that he was a serial killer. It was also, he wasn't stopped. And some of this could have been prevented.
Yes.
Had people actually paid attention.
No doubt. But anyway.
Not when it's bad.
Why the did Netflix tag the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary LGBTQ? Like, I know it's technically true, but this is not the representation we're looking for.
Well, it happened.
Well, here's what you need to take into account. You don't get to pick and choose representation as you want it. Hell, there's a lot of bad representations out there about Christianity. Do I have the right to say that these representations of Christianity should not exist? No. I don't really have the right. I can say that, but honestly, it's futile.
But that's
because
your opinion.
That's my opinion. It doesn't mean that that's how it has to be.
Right.
Because that's the thing. There are bad Christians out there. I accept this. I understand this. I think that these people are not good representations of Christianity. But they're out there because it's literally someone's telling the story of what they went through. and the person that did bad things to them was a Christian. And does that mean that is that going to make me does that make me feel uncomfortable? To a certain degree, but that's the thing about being a human being. You're going to be uncomfortable living your life. And if you think you can go through your entire life without being uncomfortable or without being without feeling squeamish about something that you hold near and dear to your heart, I'm sorry, but prepare for disappointment.
And you have to accept that it is a part of LGBTQ history. I believe Jeffrey Dahmer killed 17 black men specifically, and a lot of them, if not all, were gay. So this was definitely a heavy impact to the LGBTQ community. And I see no reason as to why that tag shouldn't be there, as it is educational and people should be aware of what happened in a specific community based on, Jeffrey Dahmer's sexual orientation.
Exactly.
I believe
the show was meant to put awareness in people's minds, show awareness of what happened during that time.
Exactly.
It's not meant to be idolized or anything like that. It's just
it's there's probably a lot of people out there that think that just because they're not a woman that they're immune to sexual assaults or worse,
No.
Incorrect.
That can happen to anybody.
Yes.
The story of Jeffrey Dahmer is pretty much just a living reminder that everyone needs to be careful about
Yes.
who they choose to
It's
trust
not
and interact with.
just women who
100%.
are attacked. So
It's very complicated, the whole situation surrounding Jeffrey Dahmer. And it's very...
These fangirls, they're not fans of the actual person. They're fans of Evan
Peters,
Evan Peters.
the idealistic,
I'm a fan
Because
of Evan Peters.
I love
am
Evan
too.
Peters.
He's played in American Horror Story. He was in X-Men.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's a good actor.
he's a good actor, and he did a really good job portraying this character of a real person.
Yes.
But he was acting
Guarantee you, Evan Peters, if he could hear these people, he would just be like, you do know that I am not Jeffrey Dahmer, right?
yeah.
I guarantee he would be like,
Fangirls. I mean,
oh God, oh no, I just had a bad thought. Imagine, I'm not sure if Evan Peters is married or anything like that, but imagine he's out on a date one night with a girl, and they're go out to dinner, everything's all nice and everything. Then they go back to his place, and then all of a sudden they tell him to be hey, can you put on these glasses? Hey, can you tell me?
that would just be really weird.
Can you say the lines that you said in the Netflix show where you played Jeffrey? I guarantee
he would be no, get
I
out.
guarantee at that point he would literally take the glasses, throw them back to her, and say, "You have a good night," and then literally just leave. I mean, I would too. Jesus. Ugh.
he struggled with, along with the victims that he was actually targeting. But I digress. According to headlines and according to posts that I've seen, there's been this uptick after this Jeffrey Dahmer series has been released of, and I quote, bizarre fan-made Jeffrey Dahmer edits from the Netflix series, where people are making edit collages. You know, you've seen it in the past before, where people are using specific phone apps to create fan-made edits and collages, you know, grabbing screenshots from the series and like kind of splicing them together with, you know, pop music and doing the little 360 flicks with the hearts. And I'm sure most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. But based on this post from Lillian on Twitter, she said hundreds of people are saying that they feel sorry for Jeffrey Dahmer, and obviously this is going to be mostly girls. I'm sure there's a sprinkle of gay men in there as well, but we obviously know who the main culprits are. But she goes on to say that these people said that they would write letters to him, being Jeffrey Dahmer, if he was alive, and that he didn't hurt his victims that much. And
he took their lives.
The fuck?
Oh my god.
Are you delusional?
Oh
fucking
my god!
He fucking
was-
like
he
lobotomied people.
He did it. He needed help.
He fucking
needed
took
help.
drills to people's skulls. Like, what the fuck is
He
wrong
had
with
a
you?
man's head in his refrigerator. Like,
He could have done worse.
and I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he ate part of one of them.
Yes. Well, he resorted to cannibalism. He even resorted to necrophilia.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's not that much. What is that much to you?
I guarantee
Sorry.
you that.
This makes me mad.
It does me too.
No, sorry, not sorry.
This
Fuck it.
person
That's my
needs
opinion.
help. Whoever-
He needed help, and obviously, he never received that help, and this is the result of that.
Yes.
If anything, it could also be awareness for mental health.
Yes. If Jeffrey Dahmer would have sought help in the beginning, if he was in the system that we have now, which is a more open system and is all about accepting you for who you are, and just like helping you mentally get through your roughest moments, maybe something could have happened.
No, our
but
current
I don't
system
think
is still trash for mental health help. For the most part.
in a lot of ways, yeah, but I think in some ways it has gotten better. It for certain regards,
It's
but
not
still
as
the
much
overall.
as in other countries for sure.
Yeah, but anyway, sorry. But still, even if he did have all that help, he probably still would have done bad things. Hate to say it, but there are just some people out there. Bad people do bad things, and
Yeah.
at that
But they
point,
do not deserve to be idolized.
no.
In these screenshots that she linked from their TikTok pages,
Oh.
in one it says, "Why do I feel sorry for Jeffrey Dahmer?" In another, in the comment
'Cause you
section,
need
it
help.
said, "Jeff was a good man, and that's
No,
why he
he
gave
was
the men
not.
quick deaths because he didn't want to hurt them. I cried when he died."
What the actual fuck? I hope these people are trolling.
Another one from another girl, she says, "But he didn't hurt them bad. It was just drugging and strangles them, I thought."
No.
And another,
Did you?
No. Did they not show what he actually did to people in that?
Yes,
show?
they show it.
They show everything.
They show everything. Not to mention,
Where are people getting this fucking idea then? That he was like gently killing people or something.
What, like he was euthanizing them? No! You idiots.
Even then, he's still fucking killing people! Like, oh my god, what is wrong with you?
Another comment from this woman, she says, "Me to wish he was still alive. I'd definitely write to him." And there was a sub comment from another woman who said, "I said this to my mom as well. I can't help it." So clearly we can see there's a lot of mental illness going on here. And in fact, here's one of these fan-made romantic TikTok edits posted by Lillian from the Jeffrey Dahmer series. Check it out. So all I'll say after watching that is, I am not surprised, considering that this is the Gen Z, the current generation is Gen Z, and growing up in this generation full of, I'm sorry to say it, but just plain degenerates. I feel like my generation is completely detached from reality, and because, relatively speaking, in comparison to a lot of the atrocities that happened in the 20th century with all the serial killers and World War I, World War II, famine, financial crises, disease, all this other stuff that a lot of us have never got to experience. When we are reminded even about 9/11 and the nearly 2,000 people, I believe, who died on that day, we tend to make memes about this stuff. We joke about it. I'm not sure if it's some kind of coping mechanism.
that
or
is
it's because
horrible.
I hate to say it, but that's the thing is I forget. I think it was Alan Alda who said it. Tragedy plus time equals comedy. But here's the problem with that. Given how quickly, like how for instant gratification people are nowadays, it's only going to get faster. Like, the tragedy plus time equals... Like, the one that irks me is that there are people right now, I've seen it, they're making Etika memes about like, it's just like, went to meet my base jumping instructor today. Picture of Etika, my base jumping instructor. Go fuck yourself, dude. Go fuck yourself. That is evil. That is evil to an extent that I cannot... Ooh. Oh. It puts me in a very bad mental place thinking about that kind of shit. And to think that Etika, someone who had these mental, this mental illness and basically had nowhere left to turn to, it hurts. The fact that Etika, had so much of a reach, had such a loving fandom that still misses him to this day. And this quickly, you're seeing memes like that. And 9/11, that was 20 plus years ago. So I know there's people out there who would say, yeah, that's been enough time for the tragedy plus time. Not for everybody. And you shouldn't expect everybody to be okay with it. Alright? There are going to be people who see these kind of memes and they laugh about it.
I mean, people whose family members were in the towers are never going to find... There's never going to be enough time for them to ever find a meme about 9/11 funny. Like,
the only one that
Have you been there? Have
I
these
have.
people been there?
I have.
I have too.
And I will say this. Go ahead,
there are
Kate.
names written on the stones surrounding pools of water.
Yes. And
people lost their lives. That is not a joking matter. Like,
and
I can't even look at that. That's why I've had my eyes closed.
Sorry.
Yet the Vanoss crew and
We've
people
never
we've
really been through
reacted
any
to have made
true
jokes
hardship
about
like
it.
that. We're
Yeah,
Sometimes can't
of
help
people
but laugh
around
about
us
it. I
It-
mean, it's just...
it's uncomfortable laughter to an extent, because I'll say this: the one guy who did lose somebody and has made 9/11 Pete Davidson, by the way, Pete Davidson, for anyone wondering. Pete Davidson's dad was a firefighter, and he died, I think it was in the North Tower. And it had a very adverse effect on Pete, but for him, what got him through the trauma was comedy, was him being a comedian and him, working through his grief with the comedy. Everybody experiences grief differently. Everybody experiences stuff like that differently. And you shouldn't, if you find something funny, okay. But you shouldn't expect everyone else to find it funny. That's literally, how this works. And I have jokes that I think are funny, but when I tell those jokes to other people out there, it's not funny because to them they perceive what I would say as offensive. And once again, everything is subjective, and you can't expect everyone to just be happy with what you're doing. But yeah, this
are dying and you never know if you're going to see your loved ones tomorrow. But yeah, I am not surprised that there are people out here making romantic fan edits about a literal serial killer who killed 17 people, specifically black gay men, because he couldn't deal with the insecurities of himself being a gay man. I believe in the other various mental illnesses that he was going through at the time.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist, nor am I a biologist, so I'm not really sure what the hell was going on in his state of mind back then, but clearly he was a very dangerous guy, and to kind of pedestalize his character, even if Evan Peters, which a lot of girls and guys are saying that, he's a handsome guy, which is understandable, but the guy's been in many different shows, and I believe in other movie roles, and he's a real person himself, so if you really want to pedestalize him, if he's your idol and you want to make fan edits about him, then do it in other roles that aren't as sensitive or controversial, or just take real photos or interviews of him actually being himself and use those as your point of reference.
You could even include Jeffrey Dahmer in a fan edit about Evan Peters, as long as it's not just Jeffrey Dahmer. Know what I mean?
And it would make more sense.
You could just be like, he's done such a good job in every role he's played, and it would be totally acceptable.
Yeah. But once again, the over-romanticization of Jeffrey Dahmer because of Evan Peters' portrayal.
There's a disconnect there with some people.
Yes, there is. Massive.
I mean, I think there are, like you said, some young people that just are kind of disconnected from reality. I think it's people who would, the horrors of the worlds actually, in their mind, don't actually really exist.
Well, it's because they experienced everything on this, and they've never experienced anything in real life.
And they think that'll always be exactly the way it goes, even if they're going to be unlucky one day and end up running into something horrible.
Well, yeah, whenever real-life tragedy actually strikes them, they won't know how to handle it.
Get a wake-up call at some point.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't. I'm not wishing that on them. But, that's what it would probably take to wake some of the people up, is them actually experiencing something for real.
Yes.
It's not just them going on their phone screen every day.
Yeah. Typing lol and doing the heart emojis and all that. Let's keep it 100.
Why specific people had to wait until Evan Peters was playing the role of a literal serial killer to give him his credit and his flowers. You could have done that with the many other roles he was playing, like in American Horror Story, which is where
he's a literal school shooter, though.
The other romantic comedy he was in, Sleepover, which is pretty old, to be honest. The other horror-based movie called The Lazarus Effect, or even Dark Phoenix. I'm sure the guy...
No, steer
very... To be honest, I liked him in American Horror Story. I thought his character was good.
Yes.
Obviously, his character is a horrible psychopath in the show.
Well, in the first season.
But that's where I learned about him. And then when I saw him play an X-Men, I was just like, he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Quicksilver. Yeah. And
I was like, he's just a good actor. I really like him,
I'll say this, though. Steer clear of Dark Phoenix. That does not exist. Yeah. I do not accept the existence of Dark Phoenix.
And The Lazarus Effect was actually... in my opinion, a slightly underrated film.
I liked it all right.
It was one of those things where I was like, this is going to be stupid. And then I walked out being like, if they made a world based off of what they set up in that, it could be really cool. But, yeah, I don't know. I liked it more than I expected to. I don't know how everybody else felt about it, but I liked it okay.
Guys finding it kind of awkward that now is the time when he's being praised. And under this romantic fan edit that we just saw from TikTok, here are some of the comments. One from Braddy Bats. She says, the most heartbreaking part of the series, Jeff and Tony seemed to be good together. I think it was the most Jeff was most happiest till he switched. I don't know what that means, but what the fuck. Emily says, Tony's story killed me. Dahmer seemed happy with him and stopped his killings. The minute Tony said he needed to go to work, Dahmer just turned. Another girl, Renata, said, pity. I thought this relationship could change him.
I feel like there's some people that don't realize that this is based on a real fucking person, too.
Yeah, Guarantee you they just see this and they're just like, oh, wow, this is such a great fictional story. It's not fictional. It's not fictional.
I have had conversations with people in the past, where, for some reason, they were talking about either, true crime stuff or serial killer stuff or horror stuff. And the name Jeffrey Dahmer was brought up, and the people were like, who? And I was like, oh, you haven't heard about Jeffrey Dahmer? He's, one of the big ones.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of me is just are there some of these women watching this show that don't realize this is based off of an actual real life serial killer and showing what he actually did?
I don't know.
So that could be the case, possibly.
Potentially,
Might
yes.
make their comments sound slightly less unhinged.
Slightly.
Like, are they not aware that these events have already happened and this is not really based on a fictional story, and
Exactly
that
what I just
this
said.
man is a literal serial killer and that this is a story about the people that he killed? I'm just like, the way she structured this sentence as if this story could have gone either way, as if it hasn't already happened. I'm just like baffled. Paula says, I was hoping they'd fall in love and live happily ever after. Then I remembered the name of the show. Oh my god. You see, like, I'm not even phased about these comments, but it's just like, for people who aren't in this world, or, you know, aren't exposed to the fan clubs and the fangirls who simp and lust after these serial killers, I can see how outraged they might be by reading these comments. Keep in mind, I am used to this stuff. This does not faze or shock me at all. As I've said 1,000 different times before, I am completely desensitized to all of this. Like, this is, I'm used to this, but I still find it kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel you
I
to
heard
an
some kind of
extent. Like, I'm halfway there, but it still pisses me off to an extent.
A logical report that some girls are attracted to the dark triad trait, the thrill and the adrenaline and the unpredictability of these kinds of guys. Like, you never know what they're gonna do next, and that kind of unpredictability on a psychological level is attractive to them, which is understandable. I get that. I do know that a large portion of girls do like bad boys, but there's a difference between a bad boy who has a criminal record, you know,
And an
for
evil boy who could just end your life on a whim.
Yeah.
doing some petty shit, right? Or, you know, he does whatever the fuck he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, etc. There's a difference between that and then someone who literally has killed multiple people on some weird fetishized chopping off their heads, disemboweling them and eating them. Like, I'm kind of even disgusted trying to comprehend how you can find that attractive or feel pity over someone who could do something like that to other people. Like, that's gotta be a whole nother level of daddy issues right there, but I digress. I went to the r/crime scene subreddit and actually saw the real crime photos, unfiltered,
Oh. I'd seen them before. I'd seen the level of depravity and just absolute grisly nature of it. And honestly, part of my mind wishes I wouldn't have.
I still haven't looked at a lot of that kind of stuff just because I've seen enough at this point of different things to know that unfortunately there is no unseeing that once you have.
You ain't kidding.
So I've just kind of chosen to stay away from a lot of that kind of stuff. And every once in a while I'll just be like, something really fucked up is posted here on this place and you can see it. Yeah.
Risky click.
I kind of wish I shouldn't have done. I kind of wish I hadn't.
It's like the old Reddit 50-50 clicks. You remember those?
Yeah, I mean, at least most of those didn't. Whenever we did it, anyways, they didn't actually lead to anything like ridiculously scarring, you know.
Some of them were pretty bad.
Yeah.
censored of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. And I'm not going to be able to show it in this video. I'm going to censor it out, but I will kind of describe what I'm seeing here. And I have seen a few episodes of the Jeffrey Dahmer reenactment docuseries. And based on the photos that I'm seeing, it seems like Netflix has nailed a lot of the details, especially with the atmosphere, the dirty carpets, the blue buckets, the weird concoctions in glass bottles. This photo right here, I especially think is pretty eerie, you know, considering what happened here in this room based on the episode that I saw with Evan Peters, reenacting him on the bed with one of his victims watching something, and you can see the blood stains and the expression on the actor who was playing the first victim, I believe. It was, honestly, shout out to the cast. They did a wonderful job. But yeah, this photo that I'm seeing, this guy is laying on his back. Looks like he had his stomach sliced open by Jeffrey, and you can see his innards. In the photo above, I'm seeing, I believe, human remains in his freezer, and in the photo above that, I'm seeing one of the skeletonized skulls of one of his victims. And
Yeah.
it's horrific. I'm not gonna lie. And another photo that I'm seeing,
Just-
completely censored, by the way. One of his victims is kind of laying on a bed, arched over, backwards, with his arms protruding out on a dirty, bloody bed. I'm not entirely sure if he's headless or not, but this is definitely something that looks like it was pulled straight out of a horror movie. It's absolutely appalling. And
Well, it doesn't need to be in a horror movie because it actually happened in real life, dude. Oh,
another photo I'm
But he
seeing,
didn't hurt them that
a young
bad,
black
though.
oh no. You had to say it, didn't you?
man, his head on a counter, beheaded, with his two hands chopped off, laying right next to his hand, and his mouth is open, with a chopped off piece of his genitals to the right of his head. And I'm not gonna lie, if I
Jesus Christ.
Ladies
I
and
hope
gen-
he's about done describing this shit. I don't want to think
wasn't
about it no more.
experienced or exposed to the true crime stuff that I usually talk about, this is something that I wouldn't even be able to talk about, much less look at. And the last photo that I'm seeing are just some of his other victims laid out, I believe. In the few episodes that I've seen from the Jeffrey Dahmer docuseries, he does like to, take pictures of his victims before and after they're dead. And just with all that in mind, it disgusts me. This is probably one of the sickest minds in American history, serial killer history, that is. And there are actually fangirls out here who are genuinely intrigued and infatuated with this man. And I'm thinking a lot of girls were hiding this fact until Evan Peters was able to reenact. So they're using the Evan Peters excuse to kind of mask the fact that they are kind of in love with this Jeffrey Dahmer character, and are mostly disregarding the fact that he ended multiple bloodlines and destroyed the families of multiple generations of people. And I can't say that I'm surprised. But do let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. This was just one of those more informal videos that I wanted to create, since I'm working on other long form scripts for upcoming documentaries that are going to be out soon. But yeah, turn on notifications by hitting the bell and selecting all notifications. But with that being said, thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe out there.
Oy.
I would at some point like to see what other kind of content Maury has, to see if there's anything that wouldn't be this kind of experience, at least.
Yeah.
Because it's a well-made video, but
Yes.
goddamn,
Damn. Mm.
the topic was just heinous.
Yes. No doubt. I'm just. Oh. You know those moments where you just. We live in a very cushioned, environment where we are. And we live in a very cushioned environment in terms of the type of people that we associate with. Because I like to think that everyone here on this couch has at least a moderately high IQ level to not put themselves around people who they would be suspicious of in the slightest of them doing something heinous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just oof. I don't know how people could ever come to the conclusion that Dahmer was anything other than a monster. I don't know how.
It literally says monster in the title of the Netflix series.
And these idiots just... Oh. Oh, boy.
And it even talks about how this is based on the real life events.
Yeah. You can't win with some people. Some people are just dumb and will always be dumb and are just gonna,
Can't fix stupid.
nope, unfortunately you cannot. And you can't fix what has happened in the past. And what Dahmer did is unforgivable. It is, and anyone who tries to make an excuse for it, anyone out there who tries to say anything about how it's like, oh, but he was just misunderstood. No. Just stop. The actions that he took are done. It's over. The man made his decisions on what he wanted to do with his life, and there's nothing else to be said except for he is a monster. And I hope and I pray that as time goes on, people will forget about him. People will forget about him, and his legacy will be like for naught.
At the same time, I'm still of the opinion that you shouldn't forget history, even the darkest parts, because
and I agree with that.
Serves as a warning to keep
and I agree with that. We shouldn't forget
to keep you in a safe.
We shouldn't forget what he did, but with this often comes the romanticization.
I just want people to stop praising him.
Yes. I hope people forget about Dahmer, but they don't forget about his crimes and what to notice to avoid becoming another statistic. But anyway, I got nothing else to say. If you're one of these people who adores Jeffrey Dahmer, get help, please. But till next time, everyone. Signing off. I'm Nate.
I'm Kate.
I am Nick.
Goodbye. Jesus.